choosing which book to read to your baby feels exhausting, you're not alone. The good news is you don't need a huge library or endless new books. Rereading is not only easier for you, it's also better for your baby. In this video, you'll learn why repetition matters, plus how it can make storytime less stressful and more fun for both you and your baby. So when I was a Spanish 1 and 2 teacher, I was learning a lot about second language acquisition. And one of the things that I learned is that it takes a student 30 to 50 times at least to hear a new word in context before they fully acquire that word and can use it and understand it without thinking. And so it would make sense that for our babies learning their first language, repetition would also be key. And I've been reading through this book, the Jim Trelease's Read Aloud Handbook. And he talked about that in this book. And I thought it was really interesting, and I wanted to read you a quote. Young children learn through repetition, so asking for the same book over and over and over again is part of the developmental process in learning language, as well as the structure of stories. This is called immersion. Hearing the same story again and again is a part of that immersion process. Repetition also changes the brain because when a child hears and practices a word, concept, or skill, the pathway between brain cells are strengthened and solidified. He goes on to say that children need to have repeated readings to also benefit their learning and help them learn a word. And that a study was done in 2011 that found that when kids were read the same book multiple times, they actually retained the words in that book better than if they saw that same word across a variety of books. So in other words, when you're reading the same book to your baby over and over, that helps them retain that vocabulary better than if you were reading a bunch of different books that had that same word in it prior to age 2. So think of a toddler bringing you the same book over and over again and wanting to read that book on repeat. I think of one time when I was visiting my best friend several years ago, and her daughter kept asking for, we're going on a bear hunt, endless times. I probably read that book to her for 30 minutes straight while my friend was cooking us dinner. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. There were other books there that that girl could have chosen, but she kept wanting to read the same book, and we kept adding motions, can't go over it, can't go under it, to practice that vocab, but she just wanted that repetition. And he goes on to say, as adults, we need to remember that we also like to reread the same book or watch the same movie multiple times. We realize how many subtleties escaped us the first time. It's the same for children and books. Because they are learning a complex language at the adult speaking pace, there are often misunderstandings that can be sorted out only through repeated readings. And I like to think that makes sense. When I love to reread Harry Potter, I like listening to the Jim Dale audiobook version if I'm having a hard time falling asleep at night. And it's just very comforting to me. And so think about rereading, Very Hungry Caterpillar, Brown Bear, or Goodnight Moon. Those will be comforting for our children. They become old friends. So rereading is beneficial to them in that regard too. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the benefits for you as a mom, because I was just saying with the Brown Bear, or not the Brown Bear, we're going on a bear hunt book, that could get boring. And it kind of did. I was we've read this book 15 times already. We're reading it again. Okay. So it could be good to think about positive things instead of just the boring aspects of it. And so when you think about the benefits, it can help kind of counteract that negative thinking. And so we just said, there's so many benefits for your baby's brain, so that in and of itself is really, really, really good. But on a more personal level, think about decision fatigue. As moms, we make so many decisions throughout the day. What is our kid gonna eat? When are they gonna eat? Where are we gonna go? Are we gonna go to a playground today? Do we have to go to the store? What are we gonna eat for dinner? Are we gonna go on a walk? Where are we gonna walk? Which street do we go down? What are we gonna wear? All of these decisions that we make. When I was a teacher, what I did for myself to help prevent decision fatigue is I would wear the same 5 outfits every week. I would rotate. I had a Monday outfit, Tuesday outfit, Wednesday outfit, Thursday outfit, so on. And I just knew those were my clothes I was gonna wear that day of the week, and it helped me not have to think about my wardrobe. And so as a mom, how can I relieve some of that decision fatigue for myself? And one way is through knowing in advance what books we're going to read when. And so for bedtime, we read the same 4 books in the same order every single night. And I have a whole video that I'll link up in the cards all about our bedtime routine. And basically it's just, we start with Goodnight Gorilla, and that one we might skip if we're running out of time. And then I do the going to bed book, and then pajama time, and then Goodnight Moon every single night. Those are the same 4 books, same order. For nap time, it's always just Goodnight Moon. That's the only book we'll read right before naps. And someday when my baby is older and he's able to pick books and grab which one he wants to read, I'm sure that'll change. That'll be him making that decision though, and not me. And when it comes to books, you know, like, it's really not that serious. He can read the same book over and over again right now, and it'll be fine. But it's just a way for me to make one less decision, to know we're reading these books every single night. And so think about you, think about your bedtime routine with your baby. Do you read books? Is there a way that you can just simplify that for yourself and just do the same routine every single night? First, it helps your babies with brain, helps them know it's time for bedtime, because it is that same predictable pattern. They read Goodnight Moon and they know. Like my son, like when I pull out Goodnight Moon, he knows it's time for a nap. He might get like a little fussy. He might kind of like push the book away or flip at the pages and just be like, rah, rah, rah. Like, no, yeah, you know it's bedtime now because we're reading this book again. So another way that reading the same books over and over again can help you as a mom is that if you start this when your baby is really young, like, I don't know, 3 months, let's say 3 or 4 months old, you start this reading routine and you start reading these books over and over and you start memorizing it. Then when your baby is older and is just flipping the pages back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and not wanting to let you turn the pages to keep reading, instead of fighting your baby about that as they're learning the new skill of turning the pages, like that is like a fine motor like thing that they're doing, you could just carry on with reading the book. So for example, with Baby Beluga, we love Baby Beluga. We love singing that song. And often I will have made it through the bulk of the song by the time my son has turned like the 3rd page, because he loves just going back and forth and looking at the pictures or turning back to look at the cover and everything like that. And so it relieves some frustration for me to know, like, I have this book memorized, we can just carry on. And it's the books that I don't know really well that makes it hard, like, for that time when he's practicing turning pages. I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to be saying right now. So by repeating the same books over and over, you will inevitably memorize the books. But it does help when your baby is turning those pages, or when he will eventually turn those pages. You don't have to stress about, like, I don't know what word it is, or no, don't do that. Like, let them hold the book, let them engage with the book. I say it a lot, connection, not perfection. It's good that he's enjoying the book, or she. It's good that your child is enjoying the book and having that positive practice of just, we sit here together, cozy, turning the pages, but you are able to just carry on with the story because you do have it memorized. Another benefit is that you don't need to have a huge home library, especially in the early years. You don't need to have like a gazillion board books. You just need a few good classic ones that you love, that your baby will then also love, that you will love reading again and again on repeat. So what I do is I have my little nursing cart over by our rocking chair in his room, and due to the setup of his room right now, like his bookshelf is like across the room. That's just how it has to be. And so I use this shelf on the nursing cart, and I have the same like 15-ish books on that cart, and I will just like go down the row whenever we do story time. So like I said, we do Goodnight Moon every night, every morning, so that goes on the end, and then I'll start on the other end and like pull out a book, and then we'll read that book, and then I'll slide it back on the end by Goodnight Moon and just kind of rotate through that way. And so Goodnight Moon and the other books will kind of like scooch down the shelf, and so then I can see like which books we've read that day, which books we haven't read that day, or which books it's been like 2 days since we read. So there is still some variety. Like, I'm not only reading Goodnight Moon, or I'm not only reading Put Me in the Zoo. I'm reading other books too, but it's just the same like 15 on a cycle that we go through every 2 to 3 days or so. Periodically, I will grow tired of a book. So at that point, I'll take that book off the nursing cart and switch it out with one on our bookshelf and trade it out. But we really only like we have more board books that I read on a regular basis. A lot of the ones that I have too aren't really great until he's a toddler, but you don't have to have like a ton. You want to have a few, like I said, a few good classic enjoyable ones for both you and your baby. And I have a free PDF download that you can get that has like a book list of all of my family's favorite board books, and you don't have to buy all of them. Like I said, like the point is you don't have to have a huge library, but just look at those categories on that book list and pick a couple different ones. The next, I guess on those same lines, so if you know that you're going to be reading the same books over and over again, don't buy boring books. My rule of thumb when I'm buying a board book is, will I want to read this over and over again? And if the answer is no, if I find it boring, I will not buy it. Like if that's in the store and I look at it, I'm like, these pictures are not cute, or the story is not there, or this is like, they're speaking down to the baby. And even though they're a baby, like you don't have to read them what Charlotte Mason would call twaddle. Like they could still be good books with good ideas. So over the past couple months, I've been on a quest to find good autumn board books that are not Halloween-y for my baby. And what I found on Amazon is Spot's Pumpkin Surprise. I think that was the name of it. I'll put a picture on the screen of what it looks like. And it's in the shape of a pumpkin. And I thought that was super cute. And I could use it as decoration in our house. And it would just be adorable. And I ordered it and it got here and I read it. And I was like, this is not, it's cute that it's shaped like pumpkin. That's its redeeming factor. But the pictures were just not, I don't know. I didn't really grow up reading Spot books, so I don't have like the nostalgic factor of that. And then the plot itself was just super simple sentences. It didn't rhyme. It did talk about the life cycle of a pumpkin, so that's good. But anyway, I returned it to Amazon. I'm like, if it had been like $2, $2 or $3, I probably would have kept it. But it was like $10 for this board book. I'm like, this is not worth $10. So anyway, be picky with what books you buy for your baby's library. Only get the best ones. And my channel exists to help you do just that. I review board books. I give you different tips for that. So subscribe so you get more good quality board book recommendations. Check out that PDF like I said. And I have a video all about 5 board books that we love repeating, and it would be a great start for you if you're just now starting to build your library, or if you're wanting to add some of these fun books that are fun to repeat. So check out that video, and it'll probably be here. Check out that video so you can learn more about those books. And I hope this video was helpful for you, and I hope it was encouraging and just gave you some benefits for why reading books over and over is great for your baby, great for their brain development and their language learning, but also why it can be good for you as their mama. I will talk to you later. Bye.